Today, I'm going to show you some new one-click Google AI agents that are absolutely wild and also completely free. So the way that you're going to set this up, I've got all the instructions inside the AI Profit Boardroom, but essentially, link in the comments description, but essentially you're going to go to Visual Studio Code, make sure you download that. Then from here, you're going to go over to Roo Code, right? So you just go to extensions, type in Roo Code, and then from here, you can see we can install Roo Code like so. Then once we've done that, we'll see the icon for Roo Code. So this is the icon, and you can see it on the left-hand side over here. And from here, we can start building out the AI agents with Google. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over to settings over here, and we can basically use these to, for example, automate almost very, very similar to like Manus AI. You can automate like MCP servers, you can build apps, games, tools, landing pages, write blogs, etc. And it is really simple and easy to do. So let me guide you through the process. What you're going to do from here is inside your settings, configuration profile equals default. Then you're going to select your API provider as Google Gemini, and you're going to plug in your API key. Now, the API key is completely free. Let me show you how to get access to that. So if you want to use this for free, you can just go to aistudio.google.com. Then you're going to grab an API key, just create an API key over here, and you can plug it into the Gemini API key section. Good to go. All right. Then once you've done that, you can select which API you want to use. Now, these are all the different APIs from Google. Obviously, I believe if you use the later models or the thinking modes, that's going to rinse through more credits, which is going to slow down how much you can use this for free. If you want to use less credits, you can use like some of the old models, and the API allowance should be much bigger. All right, so we're going to select, for example, Gemini 2.0 Flash, and also you can see here I've auto approved everything, also approved writing, operations, etc. We can hit save, we can hit done, boom shakalaka, we're good to go. All right. So as an example of this, what we're going to do inside here is we're going to select code, default, and we can start using MCP servers to start interacting with the web so that we can connect this AI agent to the internet to do different tasks for us as a one-click sort of engine, right? So if we say install Brave Search MCP server, here's my API key, all right? And you might be saying, well, are the MCP servers free, right? So they actually are free. So the way that you're going to be doing this is if you go over to Brave Search is free for the first 2,000 queries, right? So when you sign up, you can install an MCP server that connects your AI agent inside Roo Code and Visual Studio Code to get this set up, right? And it is free to do, all right? So you can get 2,000 free queries like so, and then you're just going to get the MCP servers set up like so. We'll get that running. Like you can see, it now says the Brave Search MCP server has been installed and configured with the provided API key. You can now use the Brave Search tool to perform searches. So that means essentially what you can do now is you can use the free API key from Google. You can use the Brave Search API key, which is free for 2,000 queries. And I don't think you're going to do more than 2,000 searches, honestly. And then from here, we can start using this AI agent, this sort of one-click agent to just go off and do stuff, right? So for example, if we say, okay, search Google and find me the latest data about Manus AI, all right? It's going to use a Brave Search MCP server, like you can see right here, and then it's just going to start going off and start doing its magic, all right? It's going to run the server, so it needs to run it. It's not going to work like first time, so sometimes this can mess up a little bit. Now it's started the server, and we can start using this, all right? So it doesn't, when you're using the MCP server, just know that you have to go back and forth a little bit with this when you're doing it, but that's okay. Like, it is going to take a little bit of time, all right? And then if we go over to MCP servers, let's just check this is working. We'll just retry the connection right there. and we can start using that. All right. We've got another one set up here, for example, for Perplexity. So let's try that. We're going to go over to here and we're going to say, okay, use Perplexity MCP server and search for information about Manus. And we just need to grab an API key from Perplexity. This is actually a paid API key, but even then it's pretty cheap. But let's go over to settings. We'll grab an API key like so. Generate over here. Copy that. Plug it in over here. And this AI agent can just start going off and using Perplexity. We just need to wait for it to set up the MCP server. If you're not sure what an MCP server is, essentially what it does is it connects the AI inside Roo Code to the tool that you're trying to use, right? And it doesn't need to interact directly with the interface. Now, there are ways to connect, for example, there are ways to actually connect the AI inside Roo Code directly to browser use, so it can just go off and use the internet directly. But if you want to use it indirectly, like this, all inside Roo Code, then you can do that like so. So for example, we've set up the Perplexity Ask MCP server, like you see right here. Then we've run a query through it. We're using the Google agent API key. So we've set up the API key here so we can start using the Google AI agent. Then it's gone off, searched about Manus using Perplexity, and you can see the task is completed, right? So it says, I've used the Perplexity MCP server, search for information about Manus. Manus is an advanced AI agent launched on March 6, 2025 by the Chinese company Monica AI. Claims to be the world's first general purpose AI agent with a high degree of autonomy and intelligence. So it's really easy to set these up. Doesn't take long at all. And you can see how you can get this done in one click, right? So now what we can actually do from here is we can take this to another level. So for example, if we've used the Brave Search or the MCP servers from Perplexity, then we can start running tasks inside here and then using those to generate our apps, right? So for example, if we say, right, research how, and bear in mind, like these APIs from Google, they're not connected to the internet unless you use the MCP server. So that's the game changing sort of way that you can use this. So if we say, right, okay, research how Google, or we'll say, yeah, research the latest update from Google, Gemma 3 via Perplexity, and then create a landing page that shows how this will change the world. Make it sleek and beautifully designed in HTML. And then you can actually use the AI as well to improve the prompt. So if you click over here, we can now click on this to improve the prompt. And you can see we've got that set up ready to go. And it just makes the prompt much, much better, right? So instead of like me being a lazy sort of human, not typing this out properly, it will create a much nicer response like you see right here, including like research across different healthcare and that sort of thing, right? Different industries, landing page instructions. It's a lot more detailed as a prompt. Plus it understands, okay, this is what the AI needs to create something better. So we're going to head into like so. It's going to now use the MCP server from Perplexity. We're going to prove that. And if you're wondering, okay, like, are the MCP servers free? All right, so for example, Perplexity, this one is crazy cheap. Like I've rinsed this and it's cost me like 60 cents over the last month. If you're using, for example, an MCP server, let me find these for you right now, that doesn't require an API key, then it's also free. So for example, if we go over to Model Context Protocol, then we'll find the servers, right? List of maintained servers. And then you can see all the different apps you can link this to. Now, if you're using an app that doesn't require a API key, then you can use them for free. So for example, if we're scrolling down here, like Airbnb doesn't require an API key to run the MCP server. So if you can find MCP servers without an API key, then you're good to go. Or what you can also do is you can just find different MCP servers where the API key is free for a certain amount of tokens, for example, like Brave Search. So let's go back right now. We've got that set up, like you can see. We can now just run that command, and it's done the research, and created a page with the research about the AI, right? Now, that doesn't have a lot of information about it. So what I want to do now is go back to here and say, okay, using Perplexity, get a lot more information about stats, facts, figures, etc. And then use that to redesign the landing page. And then we'll say, make the landing page much sleeker and more modern in design. So now it's going to go back to Perplexity. You can kind of use this iterative process to just create whatever you want, right? You can go from idea to design in just a few clicks. You can also click here and always allow, and then you don't need to approve that request every single time. So it's got a lot more research back now. You can see all the benchmarks that it got back from Gemma 3. And it's updating that inside the code for the page. It's also, for example, like search YouTube and other places like that. It's editing the files that we've got. It's also figured out some more technical features. And then if we run that command, we can start getting a better output from here. Right? Now you can also use this to build like apps and stuff and tools as well. So for example, if we go inside here, we'll start a new chat. And again, we're still using the Google Gemini API key, which is super cheap. And we're going to say, okay, build an SEO app for SEO cost calculators. And inside the settings here, I'm just going to change this to Flash 001, which is the latest version, the latest API from Google. And now we can use this to start building out like apps and tools and that sort of thing as well. So wait for that to load, hit save. Now it's editing the CSS, editing the JS, so the JavaScript. And again, like I don't need to code to run this. And then we've got the, the miniature app ready to go right there, right? And it works perfectly. Nicely designed, really simple, really easy to use, and you've just created an SEO cost calculator in the space of like literally 2 seconds. It's crazy how easy this stuff is, right? What we could also do is we could say, okay, on the same page, write a blog about SEO training underneath, puts why it's important, and write it Alex Hormozy style. Now you see here how we've hit the quota on Google. That's because we're using one of the latest versions of the API, right? So if we switch the APIs now to something a bit older, like this, hit save, hit done, go back, cancel, resume task, we can go back to using the API key, right? So if you're running out of API credits or tokens, then you just switch the API key on the agent, and then from there we can redo the whole thing and just get going again, right? And so if you're ever struggling or if you're running out of tokens and that sort of thing, don't worry, or don't think like, oh, this is a way of Google trying to get me to pay for this stuff. Like you can just easily get the AI to switch API keys in the settings of Roo Code, change the API key over here, and then you're good to go. All right. And then if we go inside the new version, so this was the old version and this is the new version, we've got the content right there for the page. And you can just go back and forth inside the design as well. The other cool thing here is like, for example, if we go to a website that you want to replicate, for example, like this one, we can just take a screenshot. And because Google has Vision enabled, we can go back into Visual Studio Code, paste in that image that we created, then say clone this, And the AI agent can actually see the image that you created over here and then use that to start generating better outputs, right? So you see here how it's like redesigning the code. And it's like, right, the user wants me to clone the design of the provided image. That's a significant change. Okay, here's what we need to do. And the cool thing about this as well is it's self-iterating, right? So it's prompting itself. So literally all we did was say clone this, and you can see how it goes back and forth in the chat with itself, goes off, recodes the project, edits the CSS, edits the JS, everything else, and then we're good to go. Now it's like, right, I've updated it, I've improved it. Here you go. Here's a page, and we've just redone the whole page, right? The other cool thing as well is like, if you don't like the design, if you want a much better, for example, front end, then you can go back in here and you can switch to something like Anthropic, which is a paid API, but it will give you much better outputs on the UI, right? So if you want to get a much nicer UI, now we can go and use Claude 3.7 Sonnet, and we can switch over now, and we can say, for example, okay, redesign the UI so it looks much more modern, sleek, cool, and fun. All right, now so far the API cost has been 0, but now that we've switched to Claude 3.7 Sonnet as the API key, which you can get from Anthropic, the UI is going to be much nicer, the code is going to be much nicer. Obviously, it's going to cost a bit of money, but even then, it's going to be pretty cheap that you can build a whole website for. And you can see it's a bit slower as an API as well, right? So this tends to be slower than Google Flash when it's coding and going back and forth with it. But it's also going to write better content, like you can see. And now it's updating the file automatically. And the cool thing about this as well is like it's coding locally, right? So if you ever want to come back to the files, you've got them all saved locally, and you can just reopen Visual Studio Code, go inside Roo Code, you're good to go on this. Now if we hit save, it's going to recode the CSS. All right, so you can see it's cost us 18 cents to redo the HTML on this. So you can basically get Google to do all the fundamentals for free. And then if you do want to add like, you know, something a bit more special to the front end, then you can switch to Claude and then just pay for the API key after that. Now, this is not limited to websites or Google searches or using Perplexity or Airbnb MCP servers. You know, whilst that's loading, I'll tell you a little bit about it. So you can code, for example, games tools, content writers, etc. It's very, very similar to what Manus can do. But instead of, for example, waiting for the invitation code or waiting for the daily limit usage, you can use something like this. It's kind of like a free alternative to Manus, right? So Manus AI is a really powerful agent, but it's limited. Most people don't have access. Not everyone has got an invitation code, and also it's got daily limits, right? And it'll probably be a paid tool when it comes out. Whereas, for example, you can use something like the Google API key that I've shown you today with Roo Code, and all of it's free, right? Because, for example, Visual Studio Code is free, the Roo Code is free, the API key from Google is free, and then the MCP server is free if you use one without an API key or you use one within the limits, for example, like Brave Search. So let's wait for that to load. Some people are asking, like, do you find that Claude 3.5 Sonnet is slower than 3.7 Sonnet? I've actually found the opposite. Like, for example, you can see how much longer this task has taken with Claude 3.7 Sonnet than it has with Google, right? Google's just so much faster for getting the output, whereas this is taking absolutely ages to redo the whole thing, right? And I know it's like got to recode and improve the design, but still, it shouldn't take that long. So it tends to take longer. From what I've heard, 3.5 Sonnet and 3.7 Sonnet, both from Anthropic, are like the same price. I think I saw someone comment on YouTube about that. I haven't checked it out myself. You never know with the YouTube comments, though. All right, so now it's updating the JS as well. And also, you might be wondering, okay, can you use like Open Router as well? So you can actually plug in Open Router as well directly into Roo Code. I'll show you that in a second once this is finished. So once this is finished editing, I can show you some examples of like other free API keys you can use so that if you don't want to use Google, then you don't have to. So let's see what we got here. We'll run the command, we'll open this up, and this is totally different. Let me show you how different this is, all right? So you can see now you've got the front end from Claude right here, and it's just, it looks totally different to what we had before, all right? So here was the output from Google. It did the research, did like the, most of the research there, but it's just nowhere near as good as like the style from 3.7 Sonnet, right? This is like a website from 10 years ago. This is like a website that has like some really cool images here. Free SEO strategy session, top right. It looks really modern. The links actually work. The tool looks a lot more modern, and you're good to go on that, right? So that's the difference between these tools. And I think that Claude 3.7 Sonnet, bear in mind, let's see how much that cost us. That cost us 50 cents just to redo the front end. Whereas, a normal freelancer, you're paying like anywhere between $100 to $1,000 to retouch to the front end design. And you can see the difference here. It's just 10 times better with one single click. So really powerful. And then, yeah, like I was saying, if you want to use other free AI agents inside Roo Code, select Open Router, and then we can switch between them. So let's see what we've got here. Why does it say the model free? Ah, that's why. Okay, so we need to switch down here. And if you just type in free, so if we delete that, type in free here, we can switch between all the different models. So for example, you got like DeepSeek, R1 Distilled. You do have other versions of Google as well. What else we got here? We have Hugging Face, Meta Llama, Mistral. Mistral could be really good. I mean, this is a new model that was outperforming Gemma recently, so Mistral 3.1 could be a good option. Let's test it out and see if that's good. Quen I really like as well. Quen is a great model for coding out. So let's have a look what we got here. Let's try, for example, Mistral 3.1 free, 24B. All right, we'll click on that. We'll hit save. We'll hit done. Right, off that. We'll open a new task. And we'll say, okay. Create a self-playing snake game. And if you're wondering, okay, how do you get the Open Router API key? So you just go to openrouter.ai. Then from here, you're going to log in, go to keys, and then inside the key section, just create a key here. And you can use that to start coding stuff out. So that's actually working as well, like you can see. And this is more like a thinking model, right? So you see here, I was like, I need to create a self-playing snake game, etc. It's a really small model that's just come out from Mistral. So Mistral 3.1. I actually have a video on YouTube if you want to see like all the benchmarks and how it performs. But it was actually outperforming in a lot of ways Gemma 3, which is the latest model from Google. So pretty cool stuff. And you might be looking at that website as well before and thinking, where is it now? Where's that website gone? That website that you saw before anyway, the front end that was done, like it is better than most developers can do, let's be honest. And like how long would it take to learn and how to code something like that? Like it's absolutely crazy, right? So like for example, if we go back to this, we could just review and finder. Here you go. And then we'll open this up on a new Chrome tab. So let's grab this, plug that in. Yeah, we've got the snake game ready to go. But where is the... I don't want the snake game. Oh, it's disappeared. I wanted to show you the cost calculator again, but you saw it before earlier anyway. Like the front end was so nice. Like it is a genuine threat to front end developers and that sort of thing. Plus, it doesn't take years to learn how to code, and it's just super smart already. All right. Now, some people are asking, like, what other models actually allow computer use, right? So if we go in here and we go to Open Router, you can see that this doesn't support images and it doesn't support computer use. I don't know many other models that actually allow computer use. You can, for example, switch to, I think ChatGPT might be able to do it. So if we go to OpenAI, Some of these models I think can use computer use. I'm not even sure. As far as I know, the only one that I've really tested for computer use is Claude. So computer use for anyone watching, if they, if you're confused and you're wondering, okay, what AI can use computer use. So it looks like OpenAI have an option, and then also Claude. But the only one that I've really tested out is Claude. I mean, ChatGPT, they have ChatGPT operator, but honestly, it's not as good. You can actually get better options inside Convergence AI, and Convergence AI is free. All right. So let's see what else we've got here. You've also got Human Relay, which is another option, but I'll come on to that later. So that's basically it. Like this AI agent is absolutely insane. You can basically automate anything with it. It can create very similar things to Manus. So it's a great free alternative to Manus. And the API keys are free. The MCP servers I've shown you how to do for free. Roo Code is free. Visual Studio Code is free as well. If you want to learn how to set all of this up properly, I have a SOP inside the AI Profit Boardroom. If you want to learn exactly how to set this stuff up, right? So if you want all the links, all the SOP, the step-by-step tutorials, etc., feel free to get that inside the link in the description to the AI Profit Boardroom. This is a community basically focused on making more money and saving time and automating with AI, right? And if you go to the SOP section over here, we've got all these SOPs on like a Manus AI course. You have a DeepSeek course in there. This gets updated pretty much every single day. Comes with my best MCP agents and then 8N MCP agent tutorials, as well as an SOP for Roo Code and computer use setup as well. And also, if you have any questions, if you get stuck, etc., you can post inside the community and get help right there, right? So you can see, for example, everyone, it's a really active community, lots of people asking questions in there and they get answers really quickly. So feel free to get that. And also this comes with weekly Q&As with us. So if you have any questions, you can just jump on the weekly Q&As and ask us any questions that you have. Additionally, if you want a free one-to-one SEO strategy session, feel free to get that link in the comments and description. And we'll show you how we take websites from 0 to 145,000 visits a month and generate hundreds of thousands of dollars in sales multiplier. On this free SEO domination plan, you will get a custom tailored link building plan to generate more leads, sales, and profits from your website. Plus, you'll be able to answer any questions you have, and you learn how to 10x SEO traffic based on what's working for us and our happy clients, like you can see right here. What questions have we got here? Surprised you're using Google search instead of Perplexity? Good question. I just don't think I've trained up the habit yet. Need to train up that muscle. My brain is still programmed on Google as an SEO. Mohammed says, I have questions. Yeah, any questions, just jump on the Q&As inside the AI Profit Boardroom and we can do questions directly on there. That's probably the best way to sort of ask live questions in person. There's a browser use tool that allows local LLM use browser. Yeah, so if you go on YouTube and you type in web browser UI, Julian Goldie, you'll see all this stuff on computer use agents. So if you want to learn how to set that stuff up, I've shown it exactly here. Basically, what you want to do is get a plugin. It's not as good as Roo Code, though. I'll be honest with you. It's nowhere near as good, to be honest. Like, it's an old technology, if you know what I mean. So Harris says, straight up, anything that integrates Claude 3. Claude Sonnet is going to be lit, in my opinion. And have you reached with, how far have you reached with Open Manus? I don't actually use Open Manus anymore now that I've discovered Roo Code. Roo Code is a lot more powerful and better, honestly. Much, much better. All right. And if you want the SOP for Roo Code and computer use, it's inside the AI Profit Boardroom. Feel free to get that. So next up, what we got? What we got here? So today I'm going to show you a new browser use AI agent to build and automate basically anything. And this is available with a free tool called Roo Code inside Visual Studio Code, right? Now, the way this works, for example, let me show you some examples of this morning and how I've used it. So, for example, here we said like go to Claude and have some cheeky SEO banter. And he went over, started typing into Claude directly. You can also see some other examples. So if we go over here and we go to here, you can see we actually got it to start tweeting for us, right? So we said go to Twitter and post a tweet, write short, inspiring quote about AI and post a tweet, no hashtags. And then it just went off and did it. Look at that. Drafted the tweet, ready to go. All right. Now, if you want to learn how to do this, I've got the SOP inside the AI Profit Boardroom, link in the comments description. Essentially, what you want to do is you want to get Visual Studio Code, and then you're going to go to Roo Code, right? So you install Roo Code inside the description, inside the extension section. Then you're going to go to Roo Code, and inside here, you're going to select Anthropic. So you're going to be using Anthropic, which is Claude's AI, to build this. And you see how it supports images, computer use, and prompt caching, right? You want to make sure that you have auto approve set up. And there are two ways to set this up. Basically, you can have the AI inside a completely separate Chrome browser where nothing is logged in, or you can actually have it log into a Chrome browser where it has all your logins directly, right? So you can go into Twitter or whatever. If you want to set this up and you want to know, okay, which prompt should I use for which, then you can get that inside the AI Profit Boardroom SOP. And then if we scroll down here, this is the most important part. We're using the Enable Browser Tool section, right? And this is how we're going to link the computer use, right? So you see how it says browser and computer use there, and then Enable Browser Tool. We're going to use this. Screenshot quality I would keep quite low. I'm just keeping it high because I'm doing a video, but obviously it uses more tokens. So that's the price I'm going to pay for you. But you can see here we've got the setup. And then the local host, you get this set up with the SOP from the AI Profit Boardroom. We'll hit save, we'll hit done, boom shakalaka, let's get off to the races, all right? So for example, if we say now, using this computer use agent, right? And it can just browse, it can browse the use, whatever. So we're going to go to juliangoldie.com and do a competitor analysis of Julian Goldie. Make sure that you have Claude 3.7 Sonnet, which is the latest API key set up from Claude. Then we're going to get it to do this action right here. And it says, I need to perform a competitor analysis. Here's what I'm going to do, blah, blah, blah. And it's going to run into this separate browser, right? So this is a browser where it's running in debug mode. It is logged in as me. So you can see I'm logged into WordPress on this website. And it's using this to really scan through the website, scroll through, etc. Right? So you can see a log of what it's doing right here. So it's like, right, I can see Julian Goldie's website. Here's what I need to do. And it'll figure out, number one, when it needs to use the browser use action. So it's not going to use it every time, but only when it has certain tasks that require that. It's smart enough to figure that out. And then it's right, I need to check out the services page, right? So it goes to the About Me page, goes to the services, etc. And it just starts scrolling through my website, right? It can see the page, it can interact with the page, and it can also, scrape websites. It can Google stuff. It can go onto YouTube. Like, it's pretty wild what it can do. In fact, I don't really see a limit to it. Now, I'll show you some other use cases in a minute, but let's wait for this task to load. So now it's like, right, browse use action. Here's what we're going to do, blah, blah, blah. And we'll just start going off and doing this magic. It's kind of scary to watch this stuff because it's so powerful. And it's too good at what it does, right? So if we open up, now it's scanning through my case studies, having a cheeky gander here, seeing what's popping. The cool thing about this as well is like, you don't need to be able to code. You don't need to be able to understand code. You don't need any technical expertise to get this set up. Super easy and simple. And it really doesn't take a long time to figure it all out. So like for me, for example, I have no real coding experience, but even I can do this, right? So it's gathering all the information here. It's having a look through the AI automation section, the case studies. It's browsing the user. It's like, right, let me check the Elite Circle page as well to see what premium services Julian offers. And, it can scrape the web. It can, for example, read your pages. It can do a full background check on any of your competitors. And it is unbelievably easy to use, right? So it's doing all of this whilst I'm talking. Like I'm not clicking anything, I'm not doing anything. The other thing I like about this is like I can do stuff in a separate Chrome browser. So whilst it's doing that, if I open up this browser and I just go over to Twitter or whatever, I can do that pretty easily, and I don't need to worry about like this interacting with the other Chrome browser, right? So it's still interacting here, but we've got our separate Chrome browser that we can do work in as well, right? So you can work side by side with your AI agents whilst you're doing this stuff, all right? So you can also stop the task anytime you want, and you can say, okay, summarize the data that you got. So if you ever want to stop it or take control, you can as well. You can also take control of the instance. So for example, I could start navigating through this as well and kind of direct the AI how I want to do things. But you can see here how it's doing a full competitor analysis based on the information it scraped, right? So it's like, based on my explanation of Julian Goldie, here's a competitor analysis, here's a business overview, core services, a link building, here's how much he charges per link, so it actually knows what we charge, how much we charge, his team, how big his team is, client testimonials, etc., marketing approach, right? So it's even broken down my funnels there and exactly how we get clients. And it's done all of that really, really quickly and powerful. Right? You don't need any fancy graphics card or anything like that. I'm just running this on an M3 Pro, right? But I don't think, because you're using an API key, because this is not really running, you're not running the AI locally, right? You're just running the coder locally. I don't think there's going to be many issues if you've got like a slightly older computer. And then we've got the full competitor analysis broken down right there based on the images and the content it's scraped, right? So let's do another one right now, and we'll open up a new tab. So I'm just going to click on the plus sign at the top here to open up a new task. And then we'll say, all right, do a Google search for SEO training Japan, and based on that, do an SEO optimized content outline, right? So you can create your own like sort of SEO outline tool and reverse engineer your competitors on Google by using the AI. And also, if you click this AI in the bottom right here, it will actually improve the prompt, right? So it will create something much more comprehensive. So if we hit enter like now, we've got a much more comprehensive prompt to start understanding and creating the content outline from Google. It's going to start searching Google now. So you can see here, for example, it's typed in SEO training Japan. It's actually found my website ranking #1 for that keyword. And it should just start opening up different pages from the SERPs, analyzing their content, and then reverse engineering that content to figure out, okay, what should we be talking about here as well? Right? Just going to close that. We'll close that. So we'll close that down as well. We'll close that. All right, so you can see how it's opening up my competitors, it's analyzing their content, trying to understand it, etc. Looking through the SERPs and using that information to really understand our competitors and create the best outline. Now, this is pretty cheap as well. I mean, it's cost 6 cents to do that. And it's gathering more information to figure all this out. And it is really, really cheap. I mean, the other cool thing about this as well is like it's quite similar to Cursor and other tools like that, but you don't have to pay for this, right? Like all you're paying for is the API key, and you can get a free API key as well with Google and OpenRouter as well. So now it's opening up like the people also ask section as well. So you can see it's going through there, looking through the people also ask questions, gathering some relevant questions for the content outline. And then it's like, right, let me try some more searches here. Now, if you ever want to stop this at certain points, right, let me show you how to do that. So wait for this to load. We can click cancel there. We can override it. And we can say, okay, now based on what you know, create the SEO content outline. And then because it's done the research, it's looked through a couple of our top ranking competitors, it can use that to create an SEO outline, right? So you see here how it's creating that file, and it's called the SEO training Japan outline.md. That's actually a text file, like you can see right here, with the outputs from the agent. And it's actually planned out exactly how to create the content, what to write about, some topics, etc. And It's doing that all based on our competitors that is scraped from Google. So it's pretty crazy what it can do and how powerful it is. You might be asking like, okay, can this, for example, all right, we've got the output here, but you might be asking, for example, okay, can this like create videos and stuff for you? So that's a really interesting point. So you can actually do a screen share where you just ask the AI to navigate around whatever tool you're talking about on YouTube and then screen share that. The other option that you have is you could actually use this process to then operate something like Descript and a custom GPT. I've got videos on YouTube about that and also inside the AI Profit Boardroom. But you can basically ask the AI to go off, use ChatGPT, create a video, and then using that, plug it into Descript and export it. Right? You could get it to do it that way. I'm not going to do that on this video, but you get the idea. And then we've got the setup right here for the SEO outline. Pretty simple and easy to get started. It's recommended the sections, the content, who the audience is, and then also how to set this up. All right. So you got a clear hierarchical outline inside the .md file. Pretty simple and easy. All right. If we click on start new task now, we can start doing other stuff. Some people saying like, this sort of stuff, it feels more powerful than Manus. Yeah, if you check out my video on Roo Code versus Manus, you can see the key differences. Just search YouTube for that if you want to find the information. But yeah, I mean, in many ways, it is more powerful than Manus because you don't have any data limits as well. And it's coding locally, and you can switch between whatever API key you want. So we're now going to say, all right, do a competitor analysis of Julian Goldie's YouTube channel. Let's see if it can do that. So it's going to open up YouTube, but it's gone to the wrong page here. So now it's going to try a different way. So it's actually going to search YouTube for Julian Goldie. It's opening up a new tab. It's search YouTube for Julian Goldie. And it should just start going through YouTube and start having a look through what's going on here. So yeah, you can see here, it's like, right, great. I found Julian Goldie's YouTube channel. Here's the information about him. Let's start researching him. Let's start researching all his shorts, etc. And it's giving us a breakdown of like the latest video titles plus the views, right? So you can scrape YouTube, you can scrape Google. It's actually found the most popular videos as well. So for example, like this one on DeepSeek that got 132K views. And it's basically like a little research assistant that can interact with the web live, right? But the difference here as well is like, unlike a human, it's not going to get stuck on the weekends, or it's not going to get bogged down in questions. It's just going to figure stuff out. It's very, very proactive as well. And then it's even looking for some of our competitors as well, as you can see. So it said top SEO AI YouTube channel competitors to Julian Goldie, and then it's found a bunch of options right there. So really fast, really powerful, and incredibly easy to get this set up and running. And now it's going through some different articles, having a scan through what we're doing, etc. Again, you can cancel this at any time as well. All right, so if you don't want it to keep running, or you don't want to rack up the tokens, or you're in a rush and you're trying to get this done, like you can see on a YouTube video, then we can say, okay, knowing what you know. And this time around, I'm just going to create like a nice little one-page beautiful presentation in HTML that explains everything you know about Julian Goldie based on your research. All right, include real facts, figures, plus make it super modern. All right, so basically what it's done is it scraped the information from the web, and then what we're going to do from here is we're going to code out a page locally on our laptop based on that information and the number of views and everything else that it's done right here, plus all the titles. And now you can see it's beginning to code out the HTML. All right, so it's connected to the internet. It can interact with the internet. It can log into accounts and do different stuff. It can do really amazing research tasks. It can read pages. It can interact with pages, and it can code, and it can code locally. Plus, once it's actually finished coding out this HTML file, what it's going to do is it's going to open that up in a browser as well so that we can preview it and take a look at the content. Now, some people might be asking, okay, can you run this with a different API key, right? So for example, could you set up like a computer use local API and then use that inside here? So if we go inside the API provider, we can actually select Olama, and Olama allows you to run APIs locally, and then you could configure this so that it's using your AI from Olama. All right. So it's broken that down right here, as you can see. So it's figured out, okay, this is how many subscribers Julian Goldie has. Here's a competitor analysis. Here's the experience. Here's what he focuses on. Here's his top video and how many views it got, plus a title, plus an overview of what he does, the top content that he talks about. And if we go back now to Visual Studio Code, it's done its magic. All right. It's even shown us a preview of what the page looks like, scrolling through it, etc. All right. And that whole competitor analysis as well, this is a really interesting thing, is it cost us 40 cents, right? But if you paid for a really in-depth competitor analysis with a nice presentation from a virtual assistant, it's going to cost you maybe minimum $10. But if you want it done properly, maybe like $100 or $200 or $500, right? And so the arbitrage between using an AI to do these tasks versus getting a human to do it is massive, right? Like you could sell this as a service. Like you could list a Fiverr gig and say, right, I'm going to do competitive research and I'll create you a beautifully designed presentation based on that, right? And then you just go off and get something like Roo Code to do it on autopilot whilst you watch Netflix, whatever you want, right? Like you could sell all the stuff that you do inside Roo Code with this computer use agent, you could easily sell as a service. I don't think that would be an issue at all. We could also do other stuff as well. So if we open up a new tab here, and we'll say, okay, now use Ahrefs to find low competition keywords for a dentist. The other cool thing about this is like you don't need to train the AI, right? So if you, for example, had a human working for you, you'd have to quality control the work, check they're doing it properly, check in with them, manage them, give them emotional support as well, which is like genuinely that is quite a draining thing as a manager. And then you'd have to train it, you'd have to set up good SOPs, etc. Whereas with this sort of AI, you can say, just go off and do this, mate, right? I don't want to train you. I don't want to coach you on the weekends. I don't want to quality control you and everything else. And you'll actually just go off and do it, like you can see, right? And it will go off and do it in the background. Like you don't even have to be there in its presence to know that the job is being done. So it's pretty scary what this can do because it's so powerful. And it's so far advanced in such a short space of time. Like, bear in mind, I think about a year ago, computer use came out and it wasn't that good. It might have even been longer ago than that. Whereas now, this is well and truly getting towards something that's better than a human, right? If I asked the average Joe to just go off and do some Ahrefs keyword research, you wouldn't know what I'm talking about. Whereas the AI, it knew exactly what we're talking about, what we need to do, and how we need to do it. It just gets on with the job, right? No messing around. No taking Sundays off. And you can see now it's come back to us with the keywords. So it's given us a list of relevant keywords right here. And it's searching for lower keyword difficulty stuff, right? So it's actually going to search for KD. And then it's found a bunch of KD0 keywords right here for SEO, right? And these are all like genuine keywords we could actually use. So you get the point. Like it's super powerful. It's unbelievably easy to use. It works autonomously. It doesn't require training. And it's pretty cheap compared to using an actual real person. I mean, the other thing as well, like, for example, if you're doing a keyword research report like this for someone, we've charged in the past like $500, $250 for keyword research reports, but now you can automate them for the space of 20 cents, like you can see, directly inside Roo Code, and it will probably do as good, if not better, a job than most SEO agencies, right? The other thing to note here is like, and this is another scary thing, especially for employees, is the An AI agent, it doesn't require a employment contract, right? And it also doesn't require any sort of rights. It doesn't take days off. It doesn't get sick. It doesn't get stopped. I mean, you could open up like 5 different windows and have different AI agents doing all sorts of different stuff, and it could just keep going, right? Whereas obviously a human never could do that, and you would never expect a human to be able to do that. But you get the point. And then you've got a really good report right here. This is written down in markup. So if we go back we're going to go over to markdown livepreview.com, we'll paste in that, and we've got the report right there ready to go, right? So this is the research report from the AI agent, and we asked it to find low competition keywords for dentists. It actually did that. For example, it's found a bunch of KD zeros right there, very low difficulty, medium difficulty, and analysis and recommendations, right? So it's made it super actionable as well. It's like, right, dentist near me, it's a little bit competitive, but here's what you want to go for. It's giving us some long tail stuff and also some content strategy recommendations. So, I mean, this is a pretty complex task as well. Like if you were trying to do this yourself, it's probably going to take about 30 minutes to 1 hour, whereas now we can just get it done instantly. The same, for example, with coding, right? Coding would take you years, quite a complex task, but you can mock up like a SaaS tool in the space of like 30 minutes or 60 minutes inside Roo Code. And, you don't need to learn code or anything like that. So it's not that simple. Yeah. I mean, one final one that I'll show you for social media management. If we say, okay, go to Twitter and draft a tweet that's a short, inspiring quote about AI, no need to post it. All right. It's going to figure out what to do. And then it's just going to go off and do it, right? So let's see what it does next. See if it figures it out. So it's posting for my AI SEO Mastery account, which is a totally separate account that I just kind of use for test purposes. And it's typed in the quote, as you can see. It said, the most powerful AI isn't the one that thinks like a human, but the one that helps humans think better. Right? Pretty powerful quote, to be fair. If we hit post like so, boom shakalaka, we've got it done. You can see the tweet going live right there. Right? That is a nice little tweet. Probably better than most of the trash out there. So you get the point. Like it can do really complex tasks. It can build SaaS tools, games, apps, websites. It can tweet for you. It can use SaaS tools for you directly. It can automate stuff. It doesn't take weekends off. And it's really, really, really easy to use. You're just like, right, go off and do that. Boom. Let's go off and do that. And it costs you, 7 cents to do that. I mean, what would a social media agency charge you? Thousands of dollars per month, and you can just post all day for like 7 cents per tweet. It's ridiculous. So thanks so much for watching. If you want to get the SOP for setting all of this stuff up, you can get that inside the AI Profit Boardroom. Link in the comments and description. This is an amazing community that comes with 508 members, all dedicated to making more money and saving time with AI. Like you can see, prices going up at the end of the month, so make sure you sign up now before prices go up. Inside here, you get all my best automations for email, content automation, social media and video, AI agents and workflows, ASEO automations, and A10 templates and workflows, and all my best SOPs, including the SOP for setting up Roo Code, as you can see right here. Additionally, inside the community, you can post any questions you have, and we're constantly updating this, like you can see right here. All these updates went just over the last few days, and we're pretty much updating this every single day. And also, we run weekly Q&A calls. You can jump on the Q&A calls, ask us any questions you have. And if you can't make the Q&A calls, it's okay. You can just watch back the Q&A call recordings right here. So thanks so much for watching. Appreciate it. Make sure you get that before prices go up. And additionally, if you want to get a free one-to-one SEO strategy session that shows you how we take websites from 0 to 145,000 visits a month, feel free to get that. Link in the comments and description. We'll show you how we take websites from 0 to this, and also generate hundreds of thousands of dollars in sales. And you'll basically get a custom-tailored SEO game plan so you can generate more lead sales and profits from your website. Plus, you'll be able to ask any questions you have, and you'll learn the best SEO strategies to 10x SEO traffic based on what's working for us and our happy clients, like you can see right here. Feel free to get that link in the comments and the description. What questions we got here? Is it better to learn Roo Code or NA10? Honestly, I think Roo Code is good enough at this point, like because Roo Code can do very similar things, but you don't need any sort of technical setup, right? So Roo Code is super powerful, especially if you're just doing this for yourself. Request the Truth says AI should eventually be able to create and manage autonomous nation states eventually. I don't know, like you don't know where the future is going, right? What's the most complex thing you've accomplished? So I actually built like an app. I don't know if you know Jasper AI. Jasper AI, they raised like $100 million with their AI, and it's basically a content writer. And I built the same thing inside Manus and inside Roo Code using just the Claude API, and it cost me about $1, right? And so that was the difference. It's like you can build $100 million SaaS tools. They're all personalized and customized exactly the way you want it, in a way without, you know, in a way without having to raise money, and you can just get started from day one. Plus, you can get something that's tailored to you, so it's more personalized and customized to you. Yeah. So if you're interested in seeing how Roo Code is set up and how to get it all set up, etc., then you can get that inside here. All right. So if you go inside the AI Profit Boardroom, go to SOPs, scroll down, go to Roo Code section, Claude Computer Use, you'll learn exactly how to set that up yourself. Today, I'm going to show you a free AI agent, and we're going to compare whether this is better than Manus, right? So Manus, super powerful autonomous AI agent, but most people can't access it because they need an invitation code, and it is an unbelievably powerful tool. But I'm going to show you a free alternative to this, right? So what you can actually do is you can go to Visual Studio Code, get it downloaded, SP inside the AI Profit Boardroom if you don't know how to set this up. Then go to Extensions, set up Roo Code. Inside Roo Code, make sure you have that installed. And then from here, we can go to Roo Code. And to get to use this for free, the way that we're going to use this for free is we're going to switch over to Google Gemini, right? Google Gemini is completely free. We can hit save on that. And we can also select the API key that we want to use. So we'll just go with Flash Experimental for now. And then we can start building out things with Roo Code directly inside here instead of using Manus, right? So let me show you some examples, and we'll pull up side by side some examples of what I built with Manus versus how you can do the same thing for free inside Roo Code, right? So if you want to see some of my creations with Manus and what we've built with it, and it is an amazing tool, don't get me wrong. But if we go to some of these tools, so for example, let's have a look at this. We're going to pull up, for example, a AI SEO content writer. All right, here's an example. So if you wanted to build something like this inside Roo Code, we can take a screenshot like so. And what we can do is using the vision inside Roo Code, we can go over here, we can click the plus, we can paste in that screenshot of the tool that we want to build that was created with Manus originally. And we say, okay, build an AI SEO tool like this that can use API keys, use the same UI. All right. And because we're using the API key from Google, it is completely free to use. All right. So the way that this works is we're using Visual Studio Code, which is for free, Roo Code, which is a free extension inside Visual Studio Code. And then we are using the free API key from Google to clone the tools that were built with Manus. Okay. So it's now going to start coding out. You can see it's already done the HTML. Now it's starting to edit the files. It's going to create the JavaScript as well. It's asking for a Perplexity API key because it needs to do a question. So it needs the functionality to handle API keys. And so what we're going to do is we're going to use the Perplexity MCP server to get that set up. Now, if you want to get that set up, we're just going to go over to Perplexity, like you can see right here. We'll go to My Settings, API key. And this will connect it to the internet so it can do like live searches and that sort of thing. So we're going to copy this API key, go back to Roo Code, say API key equals this, and it should be able to start using that. All right, so you can see it building out this tool. And if we open this up, we've just created the AICO content writer using exactly the same process. Really simple and easy to do. And we just cloned the website. Now, the UI is not as nice because it's not using Claude 3.7 Sonnet, but does it work? Is it good to go? Absolutely, right? Like you can add your keyword, your content outline there. I'd have to check whether the API key actually works. But if it doesn't, you can go back and forth with the AI until it does. And then yeah, you've basically cloned what Manus can do. All right. Now, if you want to, for example, use this as a free, or if you want to use like a similar level version of Manus, but inside Roo Code, then we can switch to Anthropic. And Anthropic is way more powerful, right? It does cost money to use, but it's super cheap as well. And then instead of using the free API key from Google, we can switch now and switch to Claude 3.7 Sonnet. And let's test this out now. So, for example, let's see what we built with Manus here. All right. So let's say, for example, we've created this website with Manus, like you can see. We can do exactly the same thing inside Roo Code. So I'm going to take a screenshot of that. We'll go back to Roo Code now. And we're going to say, okay, research Julian Goldie using Perplexity MCP. Then create a better version and better designed version of this website. Then we'll paste in the screenshot that we've done. We'll put with lots of personal information about Julian Goldie. All right. Just need to make sure we've got that set up. Should be good to go here. Oh, it looks like the screenshot is too big. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to X off that. It's because the screenshot is 5 megabytes, which is too big for the AI. So I'm just going to say, okay, research Julian Goldie using Perplexity MCP, and then create a modern, sleek, beautifully designed version, personalized website. All right. So it's going to start going off and doing that. And then essentially what you can do is with a combination of the Perplexity MCP tool and the power of Claude inside Roo Code, we can start coding locally, which Manus actually can't do. And we can start building something out that's really nicely designed on the front end as well. Plus, we can connect this AI agent to the internet using this process. But also, because we're using an MCP server, right, it's not inside my actual live, it's not inside like my live instance of Chrome or anything like that, which makes it a lot safer as well. Okay, so it's going off and doing the research with Perplexity now. So you can see it asks the query here, and then it got the response back from the Perplexity MCP, and now it's using that to start building out this page. So it's like, right, let me start by creating the project directory. And essentially, like anything you can do with Manus, you can pretty much do inside Roo Code as well. The other thing to note here is like quite often inside Manus, if you haven't used it yet, or if you're waiting for access and that sort of thing, it's limited in terms of the amount of times you can use it. So if we go to get started over here, I think yesterday I used it once and we reached the maximum daily usage limit, right? Because it's in beta testing. I think once it's released, it should be amazing. But you can see if you can only complete like one task a day, it's not going to be that powerful, right? So for example, we asked it one task here, it went off and did it. But then for the second task, it was really limited, couldn't do its magic. And so with Roo Code, you can use this as many times as you want. You're not limited anyway. Right? Plus, you get more control because you can code locally. You can use whichever API key you want. There's no invite codes required. There's no daily limits. And also, it's really autonomous and reliable. Plus, you can run multiple AI agents at once. So if you want to run multiple AI agents, you can have 2 different windows running, like you can see right here. And I'll show you some other cool stuff as well, because this actually runs directly with your Chrome instances if you want to. But yeah, and if you want to learn exactly like how to set up the API key and the Chrome instance inside here, just check out the recipe inside the AI Profit Boardroom. Now, there are some limitations inside Roo Code versus Manus, to be fair to it. So one of the good things about Manus is like you can host stuff on subdomains live. So you see how this is deployed to manus.space. Obviously, you can't do that inside Roo Code. You can only host stuff locally. Maybe there's a Netlify MCP. I've not tested that out. But for deploying websites, you can only really run them locally and then host them locally until you switch them to Netlify, right? So that's one of the limitations. But overall, it's super powerful, super easy. And of course, like the other limitation is like if you want the full power of this, you have to use Claude 3.7 Sonnet, which is going to cost maximum like 30 cents or something like that. But you can see you got the page right here. That's ready to go. So we've created this whole website, all personalized to Julian Goldie. It's got information about me, who I am, etc., case studies. And then also if we want to improve the design, so what we can see now is you can see the AI agent navigating through the website. But if we want to improve the design, I'm just going to hit cancel. And I'll say, make the design much more sleek, modern, and beautiful. And it will actually update the design. Now, the design from Claude is pretty amazing if you keep asking it to iterate, right? So if you keep asking it to improve the design, asking it to be more sleek, more modern, more beautiful, etc., then each time you do that, it's going to add like an extra layer of paint to the CSS to make it look, better and better each time. You can ask it to add animations, make it more fun, etc. as well. We'll see what this comes back with in a second. So you can see it's automatically editing the style CSS. There's another feature inside here as well. So in a minute, I'll show you something interesting that's called human relay. This is another feature inside Roo Code that just makes it completely unique from anything, right? So for example, if you wanted to code with a tool like Grok 3, not everyone has access to Grok 3, right? And the API key, for example, for me even, is not available. But I can use the human relay feature inside Roo Code. It'll be free to use. And also it allows me to code with something like Grok 3. I'll show you that in a second, but we'll wait for this to load first. I want to see what the CSS is like after this. Hopefully it's a lot nicer. It's taken a little while to go through it. I mean, it's writing, 1,000 lines of code? Pretty crazy. The other thing here as well is like you can actually get while we're waiting for that to code, let me show you something else. So if we go back over here, we'll hit done. We've got Anthropic running. All right. And then if we say, for example, okay, let's see here. We'll go to, we'll ask it to just like go to Twitter or something like this, right? And this is something that Manus can't do. So Manus, unless you give it the login details, which is a bit of a security risk, it can't just go off to Twitter and like start tweeting for you, right? Because it needs the login details, which is a big security risk. Whereas, for example, what we're doing right now is we're running a debug instance of Chrome, and that allows us to get the AI to control our browser, like you see right here on this test account. And then from here, what it's going to do is it's going to start tweeting. So, for example, we can see it's navigated to the homepage of X, and then it's clicked in the what's happening section. And if we wait for it to write, again, like I'm not typing this or anything like this, so it should just start writing in a second. Let's see what happens. There we go. So it's written the contents like AI doesn't replace human creativity, it amplifies it. The most powerful feature belongs to those who partner with technology rather than fear it. Actually, a pretty nice quote. And we can just use that as a post. Hit post, boom shakalaka. We've just tweeted to Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it, whilst it's coding our website, right? So you see how it's running two different instances of the AI agent, one over here, one over here. And this is like a Twitter agent, and this one is a HTML agent, right? So you can have like an army of AI agents working in the background. Whereas, for example, with Manus, Manus, if you can only run one instance of it per day because of the daily limits, then you're going to be held back a little bit. All right. And again, Roo Code is completely free. The only thing you're paying for is the API key. And again, you can use Google's API key if you want to just run this for free. So it's editing the HTML file now. And the CSS. We'll say, right, okay, can I preview this now? And we just see, I mean, I could get it to, code for like a minute or so and back and forth, but obviously I'm creating a YouTube video here and I want to make it like really fast for you. But you can see how it's upgraded the UI just on a little bit of coding right here. So it looks a lot more modern now. It's nicer designed. It looks better. Honestly, if I was a bit more patient, if I wasn't recording a YouTube video, then I could get a much better output from this. And you see how it links to all my relevant social media accounts here. So for example, this links to their SEO Elite Circle. And this links to my Twitter directly, right? So it's even figured out, okay, these are the social media links we need to add. It's added a nice little contact form, nice little case study section, etc. And we're good to go on that. All right. So anything that you can build with Manus, you can really do inside Roo Code. But the difference is you get so much more control. You get control over your API. You get way more usage limits. You can run this locally. You can build multiple different things at once. And also it can interact with your live Chrome instance using the the computer use section right here, right? Now, if you want to set that up, it has to be inside the AI Profit Boardroom, but essentially you just go to browser and computer use settings, and then you can see here we've connected it to our local host. You just have to run this through terminal, like you can see. So if I open up my terminal over here, you can see that we're running a terminal with the debug version of Google Chrome. Pretty simple. And then if you ever want to take control or cancel this, we can just hit cancel like so, and we're good to go right there. All right. Or you can just resume it at once as well. Plus, if you ever want to come back to the files, they're all stored locally. So you can come back to them whenever you want. So thanks so much for watching. If you want to get the SOP for setting this stuff up, feel free to get it inside the AI Profit Boardroom. If you go to the SOP section and then scroll down to the Roo Code section, you can get it right there. This also comes with all of my best trainings on like email and content automation, social media. Basically, the whole community is focused on, for example, making more money and saving time with AI. So if you want to get all of my best workflows and SPs for that, based on how I've scaled my business, then feel free to get that link in the comments and description. Also comes with weekly Q&As with us. And if you can't watch them, they're recorded so you can watch them back inside the AI Profit Boardroom. And this has 508 members that you can ask for help and advice, right? So if you have any questions, like you can see right here, then, for example, new comments all the time, new community posts, etc., then you can post inside the AI Profit Boardroom community and just ask any questions you have, right? For example, if you get stuck with something technical, post inside the community, people can help you out right there. So super powerful stuff. Feel free to get it. Link in the comments and description. Price is going up at the end of the month, so make sure you sign up now. We've only got 7 days until that's left. And also, if you want to get a free one-to-one SEO strategy session, feel free to get that link inside the comments and the description. And we'll show you how we take websites from 0 to 145,000 visits a month and generate hundreds of thousands of dollars in sales and multiplier. On this free link building acceleration session, you'll get a free custom SEO game plan to generate more lead sales and profits from your website. You'll discover the secrets to SEO link building, and we'll answer any questions you have one-to-one directly on the call based on what's working for our clients, like you can see right here. Feel free to get that link in the comments in the description. Appreciate you watching. Bye-bye.